Media.
The
Savage. Savage. On B1 to the family, this is Kendra Blackwood with the Hakuna Matata Hour. The segment where I bust down and expose the Hakuna Matata is in black society. But before I get started, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Hot Lava Music TV YouTube channel, Von Savage Media YouTube channel, and all the channels on the network. And with that being said, Tim Scott is lying about why police reform failed. We tell you all the time. So-called white supremacist always breaks its tools. He will be no exception. Anyway, while no single party is solely responsible for the failure of this Congress to pass a bill to overhaul policing in America, at least one senator should be called out for not telling the truth about his role in the legislation's collapse. For about 6 months, there were bipartisan negotiations over a bill to reform law enforcement policies and tactics. Those discussions were led by a group of congressional Democrats, notably New Jersey Senator Cory Booker and California Congresswoman Karen Bass, and their Republican counterparts, led by Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. The lawmakers first began talks following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis police custody on May 25, 2020. The protests over the deaths of Floyd and others like Breonna Taylor sparked what was ultimately deemed the largest social justice movement in U.S. history. But those negotiations recently collapsed after Republicans refused to negotiate with Democrats, and ultimately rejected their already watered-down proposals. Instead of hanging his head in shame over his inability to do his job, Scott is doing damage control, misrepresenting the reasons behind the fallout and claiming Democrats were ones that walked away from the bipartisan talks. Let's just be clear that we have stayed at the table, Scott told CBS News' Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation. Scott added that the GOP was not going to participate in reducing funding for police after we saw a major city defund the police, which he claimed would have been the case with many of the provisions proposed by Booker. That's a lose-lose proposition, Scott said, while describing his approach, which resulted in nothing changing, as a win-win. We want the best wearing the badge, and we want the vulnerable protected. Asked about Scott's comments on CNN's State of the Union, Booker explained, the bill put forward by Democrats would have done the opposite of what Scott says. This is a bill that would have had millions of dollars for police departments, he told host Jake Tapper. Additional dollars, because we want to help officers with mental health issues. We want to collect more data, so we should give more resources. Typical bootlicking coon. Sheesh. They just don't get it. Some on the right and across cable television like to portray the Democratic Party as the force behind defunding the police, but while abolition is a real policy deserving of consideration, it is not one ever taken seriously by the party as a whole. See President Biden, who campaigned against defunding the police, and this failed bill, which, as Booker noted, would have given the police more money. The ask in exchange was pretty easy. We wanted to have more transparency, higher professional standards, and real accountability, Booker said. If you break the law, you shouldn't be shielded from that. Those were the lines all along. In other words, police would no longer be able to just shoot black people at will without repercussions. I have never made the mistake of taking Scott seriously. I don't trust anyone black that could commit themselves to the party of Ronald Reagan, much less Donald Trump. But on this issue, one would have hoped that Scott, who has at least acknowledged that he has faced racism, might have made a sincere effort to be useful. Sadly, this is the Tim Scott I am used to, the one who argues America isn't a racist country but stood behind a racist president. Scott not only failed to make our streets safer for black people, he couldn't even be bold enough to admit that in the end, he just didn't care enough to see this through. And there you have it. Another baffooning idiot bits the dust. Anyway, keep that same energy. Join Patreon for more solution-based content. Check the description for more ways to support the channel. Collapse season on you sucker. MCs. Love. Peace. Blessings. Meloa.
Music TV.
Everybody know you get the money from that robbery before you went on the date. I told you, motherfucker, I got your money yet, man. Fuck you, man. You ain't got the money yet. Fuck you think you is, man. Motherfucking Ron O'Neal or something. What you gonna do? I'm supposed to be scared now because you got a pistol, motherfucker.
I got PayPal, Cash App, Zelle, Chime.
You don't play with this shit. You don't even know what I gave to this shit. Self-made with this shit. I slay with this shit. Been a lot of roads I done paved with this shit. Look, see, I don't play with this shit. You don't even know what I gave to this shit.
Kyrie with the give and go. I get it cheap for the low. More snow than the Eskimo big birdies. Taking flight, change your life in one night. By 2 a.m. if you do it right. Up late like nigga night. Small fish, big appetite. Get an extra 4 if you whip it right. Got good gas and it's light bright. Got big balls and a good pipe. One call it this night. Draco.
He been hula hooping through loopholes, working round shit. You can count lava down, but you can't count them out, baby. Life give me lemons, I make lemon rain pie.
All of your misconceptions, you thought I would miss my blessings. All of your misconceptions, you thought
I gotta go, gotta hustle to get it. If you ain't talking business, little shawty, you trippin'. I gotta go, I really ain't got time. You can holler at me later, shawty, bang my line.
Hey, Ray Ray.
Hey Rihanna, hey girl, how you doing? I'm into you like Trump's into Putin. I know that might sound a little confusing. I had to say it for my own amusement. What I'm trying to say is, can we go cruising? Top down, blow some good gas, and listen to Blueprint. Maybe do something stupid. I guess that depends on Q.
Russian cream, leaves, Keith, oil, premium bud. Man, I hustle in the street, but I'm a freak with the love.
tryna bring it back. I'm a big dog tryna bring it back. I'ma slide in the way to bring it back. Let a nigga tap, tryna bring it back. Tryna bring it back. Tryna bring it back.
All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. All I wanna do is see you move it. All I wanna do is see you get down. 2 steps.
Music TV.